page. It's Joy Prime on Facebook. We're streaming live and on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads, and Twitter. It's Joy Prime TV. That's where you can also share your thought with us. Our WhatsApp line is active. You can also share your thoughts with us here on some of the issues that the newspapers are reporting and the major conversations that we're going to be having here on the show. I'll be joined by the two political parties, the NPP and the NDC. Representatives will be in the studio, so we'll get to that point. But in the meantime, let's get to have a look at the front pages of the various newspapers and what they have reported. I'll start off with the Daily Graphic, and on the front page it says BEF's and DEF's database, 24 million records not digitized. Acting registrar says so. And special supplement on insurance. That's something you can also read about. Insurance fair at Accra Mall today. Page 36 has got a story on that. A Standard Chartered affirms commitment to Ghana. That's also on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Now, Supreme Court dismisses injunction against anti-LGBTQI plus bill. We'll take a look at that issue here on the show. And self-testing for HIV begins nationwide. And we spoke about this this week, sometime in one of our conversations. And, well, you might just want to also get yourself tested. I've seen a few people who have done the test, and so it's very imperative that you get to know your status, and that's just by way of doing a self-test. Some of us do not want to go to the hospital to do the test because we're not too sure about confidentiality and all of that, but you can do it yourself at home. But if you do it, the results comes out, you want to make sure that, based on which side you belong, you also take the necessary measures to ensure that you are safe and you're doing well. Now, headquarters for new police command inaugurated. That's at the back page of the Daily Graphic. And TOSA 83 cut sword to start sanitary project. That's also at the back page of the Daily Graphic. Now, in the center spreads, we have the health project for Upper East, North East also launched, and you can read about that also. Understanding insurance premiums, it's something you can read about if you're interested in insurance. And we're talking about your car, your properties in general, so you can read about that as well. And let's see if we can get a few others, and then we'll move on to the next paper that we have here this morning. Wagner fighters move to Africa, and Putin will not attend the summit in South Africa. Now, Kenyan protesters shot by police, and contaminated cough syrup sold in Cameroon. World Health Organization is reporting on that. And there's an open letter to the Chief Justice you can also read about. Now, some foreign news. Russia bombs Ukraine grain facility, and Trump loses bid for new trial. Major Italian cities on red heat alert. Afghan women protest against saloon closures. That's also in the middle pages of the Daily Graphic. And there's an opinion you can read about law of karma, reincarnation. That's also in the middle page of the Daily Graphic. Now, Daily Guide this morning is reporting on a few issues, including I'm not dead, says J.A. Kufuor. The President, His Excellency, the former President John Ejikun Kufuor has spoken about rumors that he's dead, and he says that he's very much alive. Now, NDC plays hide and seek with Parliament, and Kesola out of force and is captured over there. Now, Appeals Court bounces Jachip Kwasin. We're going to be looking at these two major issues that have been going on, and Bawumia shoots down Islamic funding propaganda. That's also captured on the front page of Daily Guide. Anti-LGBTQ injunction dismissed, and it looks like it's all of the it's on the major pages of the newspapers this morning, and so we'll be looking at that as well. Now, let's check out some stories in the middle pages. And Russia strikes Ukraine grain after NDC deal. That's also captured over here. And Putin will not attend the South Africa summit, also captured in the Daily Guide. Now, to some entertainment news, Chris Eccles-Jones is dead, and he featured in Sun City. He was also in Choko as well. I mean, he was really a good actor, and he's passed on. Now, strongman medical fight on Twitter. Man goes blind attempting the longest cry stunt. I don't know what you guys want, man. Producer price inflation drops to 29.2%, and the Jubilee failed producing over 100,000 BOPD. Tolo says so. and message to support SMEs in plastic sector. That's also captured in the middle page of the Daily Guide. Now, away from that, Tamale High Court registrar's misconduct referred to CJ, and government moves to scale up medical oxygen production. PR media practitioners dialogue on enhancing collaboration, also captured by the Daily Guide this morning. Samira Baumia, the quintessential political spouse, and that's a thorough read on her that you can also get to read when you grab the Daily Guide newspaper. Residents fix a bad road voluntarily in Kwekuma. Okay, so it gets to that point, in this country, people are doing a lot. Yeah. Now, Ghana DJ Awards introduces house music category, and over here, Belinda Aflakpi, costume and makeup designer, gaining global recognition. Those are some entertainment stories, but let's do some football. Soccer, if you like, or sports. Now, AS Kotoko striker dies after collapsing on pitch, and the 200 media covered Messi training set for Miami debut. Oh my goodness, this guy. Infantino wants only positive vibes as Women World Cup kicks off today, and Aubameyang actually quits Chelsea for Marseille. That's also on some sports by the Daily Guide this morning. Now, let's get into the Business Finder. The Business Finder this morning says economy to recover by 2025. Growth will slow down 2023 and 2024, says World Bank report. And Access Bank is Money's best bank in Ghana for 2023. Republic Bank Ghana grows assets by 20.05% to 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. And that's the Business Finder this morning. Let's check out the business analyst. The business analyst says T-bills auction, government to borrow 2.66 billion this week, and the kind of writer is captured over there in that story. Nearly 850,000 Ghanaians put into poverty in 2022, World Bank report reveals. Now, a Kumfi juice factory should be model unit for technology transfer, ADB MD asserts. Now, PPI rate for June hits 29.2%. And Court of Appeal erred in GN Bank's license revocation, or the Supreme Court says so. That's the business analyst this morning. And if we have some few other ones over here, West African capital market could boost GDP to $900 billion. Chartered Institute of Realtors to be launched here in Ghana. Securing debt repayment, significance of mortgages as security for debt settlement in Ghana. And Momo fraud, don't entertain conversations about your account, MTN warns. And over here, some other stories that we can find. Let me see. Kufuor is not dead. He's very much alive. The 8 says so. And virtual pet website, new pets plans $4 million come back. And that's this morning, the business analyst. Now, the very last one for me would probably be the New Crusading Guide. The New Crusading Guide this morning says expector of Langard demolition at airport. Victim petitions police officer. Police over Koki land goon. Sorry. So that's the Langard situation that we spoke about that this week as well. Now, Buyen constituency force for Alan Chamantin. The NPP presidential aspirants continue to actually campaign, and in KNUSC, the vice president was over there, and we're going to have that conversation on the show this morning. Africa must have a say in mineral resource trading. Deputy Lands Minister says so. And government urged to cancel taxes on lottery and sports betting. This one will be matter. It will be serious matter. Amamole chief calls for unity to promote development. That's also captured by the New Crusading Guide this morning. Let's see if we've got something in the middle pages to look at. And Travis King's U.S. soldier in North Korea had been held after fighting in Syria. Ukraine war, Crimea deport blast forced villagers to flee. And we have some other stories maybe we can take a look at. Also, here it's reporting on the Court of Appeal striking out quashing stay of proceedings application, and Supreme Court throwing out injunction against anti-gay bill. Ascent of by-election, accident victims chases a major fee for their money. That's also captured in the New Crusading Guide this morning. I will win against one seat for NPP in 2024. Michael Krikumante speaks on that. And Baumia has no links to or funding from Islamic group in Nigeria. Campaign team says so. And Ghana's economy expected to recover its potential by 2025, and that's also some story you can read about. Now, Ghana launches HIV self-testing kits. We spoke about that as well, so you can also check on that as well. So those are some of the reports by the newspapers this morning here on News Flash. Now it's time for us to get into the conversation proper. My guest in the studio is Godwin Ayaba Mahama Gama. He's from the NDC, part of the National Communications team, and he will be spending time with me. We're also hoping that we'll be joined by Pienting Yeboah, who is also part of the communication team for the NPP. When he's able to join us this morning, he would also make his contributions here on the show. But don't forget that you can also join us on social media. Our WhatsApp line is active. You can send your contributions there, and on Twitter, Instagram, on Threads, we are there as well. You can just follow, share, and then you can drop your messages over there and be part of the conversation. Now, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application to block passage of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill. Now, it was a unanimous decision, and on Wednesday, a 9-member panel actually sat on this very issue and was presided over by the Chief Justice herself, Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and it was actually, held in a space where they felt that, the applicants could actually convince them, but it was not what it was meant to be. So they have actually dismissed that application. Now, we're going to be getting into that conversation and a few others that we'll be talking about. But let me introduce my guest in the studio. Gam, how are you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. In yourself?
I'm good. I'm very, very well. And thanks for joining us this morning again.
Thank you too also for the opportunity given to me this morning to have a conversation with you and to the people of Ghana. It's always a pleasure to be here and have an opportunity to talk to the people of Ghana, to discuss about the nation and see how we move the nation forward. That is the responsibility we have as a citizen, to make sure that day in, day out, we do things that will progress, we do things that will move the nation forward. We have no option, nothing more, nothing less, and that is why we are on earth, which includes the work of God.
Absolutely.
In order to win a lot of souls for Christ. So thank you very much also for that opportunity for me to contribute to knowledge and contribute to the development of this country.
Okay. All right. So for the purposes of our viewers out there now, the issue of the Supreme Court throwing out the issue of the LGBTQ. Now, Dr. Amanda Odoi actually filed, and she wanted the case to be, taking a second look at, because she felt that it had breached Article 108 in terms of human rights, and so she wanted the Supreme Court to take a look at it, because Parliament has actually proceeded in passing the bill when there's an injunction being placed on it. But the Supreme Court actually said that they were not, the team were not able to actually convince them that that issue has to be dismissed, and so we'll be looking at that. But let me start with you. What do you make of this?
Let me say a very good morning to your viewers, especially to the people of the Domiabra Obum constituency, to my parliamentary candidate-elect, God willing, the incoming MP for the Domiabra Obum constituency in the person of Honorable Isaac Awuku-Yibo. Senior, for this particular issue, for me, I wasn't shocked at the outcome of the ruling.
Okay.
From the Supreme Court.
Give me a moment so that we can make Pienting join us here as well. But take a look at this, what the entire situation about the LGBTQ transpired, and then when we come back, we'll continue from there.
The researcher Dr. Amanda Odoi holds the view that the bill imposes financial obligations on the state and can therefore not be passed as a private member's bill. She therefore wanted the court to put the processes on hold until the case is determined. The Speaker of Parliament and Attorney General's office disagreed and urged the court to turn down the request. The 9-member panel, presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, dismissed the case, saying it has not been convinced to put the processes on hold. Senior fellow at the CDD, Professor Tichiwa Menu, is not impressed with the decision.
What do you make of this? This was always going to be difficult. This is a case of first impression. The courts are usually quite reluctant to interfere in another branch of Parliament. So we're disappointed, but this is not the end of it.
I mean, what will be your other options? Because now Parliament has done the second reading.
Yeah, they haven't considered the bill. There is also a substantive matter that we have filed before the Supreme Court. So we'll be waiting for that case to be listed. So we have a substantive. The bill has not been passed. So today, all these issues were procedural. It was about the manner in which it was being done. But there are substantive issues about the content of the bill, and we'll get to that later.
Dr. Odoi's legal team has meanwhile withdrawn a contempt application filed against the Speaker of Parliament for allowing the second reading to take place at a time when court processes were outstanding. The substantive case remains at the Apex Court.
All right, so that's a report on the LGBTQ dismissal, and we're taking a look at that conversation over here, and we've also been joined by Yawa Pientin, and he is National Communications for the NPP, joining us this morning, and he's looking very, very good. Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, bro. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to meet you over the weekend. That's what we agree.
Oh, thanks for the reminder. That's very true.
Yes.
That's very true. No, we should do it this weekend.
That's fine.
We should do it this one. Gam will be joining us as well.
Yeah.
Some party somewhere that we
actually asked him to join me.
Oh.
He told me he was still... Where were you then? Going to Dakuma.
Okay. I was at Dakuma then.
Yeah.
I was at lectures.
Nice. No, we should do it this weekend.
I was at Peduasi.
Oh.
There's this weekend jazz at Peduasi Valley.
Oh, we should do this week.
It's a nice place to be.
On Saturdays.
Friday, Saturday, between 6 to 10 p.m. I think that they will give you something for the soul.
Oh, we should do it this weekend.
Nice.
We should do it this weekend. We'll have a good time this weekend.
Yes, we will do that.
Okay. So, Godwin, you were speaking about the issue before. We took a break.
As I was saying, for me, I'm not surprised about the outcome of the ruling from the Supreme Court. You see, laws are made for the people. And anytime laws are made, we consider the environment. We consider policy positions.
Yeah.
We consider how the people will receive such a law or a bill. We also look at the religious factors that surrounds that particular country. If you look at Ghana, the most dominant religion is the Christian religion, followed by the Islamic religion. Then you come to the other religions. And most times, judges, when they are ruling on cases, they look at how the ruling will impact society. They sometimes also look at their personal upbringing and the society in which they live. They consider all those factors before they come up with their rulings. And when you look at the 7-member or the 9-member committee? The 9-member committee.
The panel, yeah.
Yeah, the panel. I won't be surprised, about 99% of them are all Christians who believes in the tenet of Christian religion. When you look at our custom as well, there is no part in our country or there is no tribe that speaks for or support this act of LGBTQ plus. So for me, as I earlier on said, they are always influenced by some of these things in order for them to come up with their ruling. So I am not surprised. But you see, most of these people dwells much of the argument on human rights.
Yeah.
To say that it is the right of the people to do what they feel like doing. But what they need to do is that, in as much as right or fundamental human rights are inherent right, it is equally not absolute. It is equally not absolute.
Yeah.
It has a place where your right ends. So if you look at Article 14 of the 1992 Constitution, which I have a copy here, when you read very carefully, there are instances where you realize that the court could take your right from you when the need arises. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Before you get to Article 14, fundamental human right in the Constitution begins from 12. It acknowledges that people have right that needs to be given to them. But as I earlier on said, it is not absolute. So where they deem fit and realizes that it is not absolute, the laws has also put in a certain burden or a certain standing blocks, so that you don't feel like, because it is your right, you would go to the
extreme.
Yes, to the extreme of it, which may affect
put others in danger.
Some people's rights and responsibilities as well.
Your right ends.
That's where somebody's also begins. Yesterday I listened to the professor. What she was saying is that the ruling was bordered on the procedure, but the Supreme Court was saying that they didn't use the right procedure, and for that matter, they need to rule against them. But the substantive matter is still pending. For me, I don't want to prejudice the outcome of the substantive matter. But as I said, those 9-member panel, I don't foresee them going any other place than going the way they have gone, because society will not accept any ruling apart from ruling against this particular action being taken by the so-called professor. Do you get me? I don't foresee anything contrary to that. So for me, we still look on, because it's still a trending and ongoing issues.
And the Speaker of Parliament is very, very strong on this issue.
You see, when you watch the particular suit, he has been sued for contempt, and also for Parliament to be injuncted. From proceeding.
It's the reason why they're even going on with this.
The bill has not yet been passed.
Exactly.
It is at the consideration stage, yet to be taken clause by clause or section by section before it will be passed. So her intent is to injunct the process and also cite the Speaker for contempt. But on the contempt aspect, yesterday I was asking myself, contempt on what? Contempt on what? Is it contempt of the court or contempt of what?
Well, Parliament is in the process of getting into it, and there's injunction on it.
No, contempt on what? Is it? Do they have earlier injunction injuncting Parliament from proceeding?
That they're citing them from
that Parliament has refused to follow the orders of the court, for which she is trying to cite them for contempt. Unless I'm being told that there's an earlier injunction injuncting Parliament from doing so. But there's nothing like that. Yeah, there's nothing like that. So yesterday I asked myself, injunction on what? Injuncting them on what? Or even contempt of court on what? Do you get me?
Yeah.
Because per the little studies I have done on contempt, you can either be cited of criminal or civil contempt. Which one is when you interfere with
the proceedings of the court,
the proceedings of
or
court,
judgments,
or judgment, you are cited for criminal contempt. Civil comes in when you are being issued an order from the court for you to comply with certain order, and you decide to go contrary to the order so given to you, then you are cited for civil contempt. So I don't know the exact reason why the Council of Prof will have to go in that manner, but they are the learned people, as we always describe them. But for me, I don't see why they are being cited for contempt. As for being injuncted, it's part of the proceedings.
Yeah, because the reason is that the Parliament breached Article 108, which is made to understand that there were certain parts that they had to process, they had to go through to finish before the procedures begins. But it looks like those ones were not looked at. So they want to hold on to it.
When you read Article 108, their basis is that bills and laws that would impact the consolidated fund, that we need to spend money in making sure that the bill comes to reality. The bill are being implemented and enforced. Such bills should be coming from the executive. In other words, the presidency. But this one is a private member bill, which in her own wisdom and the wisdom of her council, we are going to spend monies from the consolidated fund in order to make sure that this bill is affirmed, implemented, enforced. And for that matter, the Parliament hasn't gone through the right procedure, because it should have been coming from the executive, or in other words, the president, because it will impact on our consolidated fund. That is just their reason. And that is what, when you read Article 108, it talks about. But as I earlier on said, laws are made for the people. those sitting at the bench in our respective court of competent jurisdiction considers the impact of their ruling. They considers the population and what we want and what we don't want. Because laws are made for the people. So you look at the sentiment of the people outside and ask yourself, should I go in this direction? Would the people receive it? What would be their commentary? Does our custom accept it? Because custom is part of our laws. When you read Article 11, sources of laws, you realize that customary law is part of our law, our sources of law. So they consider all those things. So for me, the long and short of all this is that I don't accept the practice of LGBT. And I will at every point in time accept any bill, any act that will injunct and stop these people from going through this immoral act in the name of human rights. Where your right ends, that's where somebody's responsibilities also begins.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
LGBTQ plus.
Yeah.
What do you spend time talk about? Anyway, first of all, let me say thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity and also your crew in here. I cannot proceed by saying hello to my people, people of Asane Manso across whom I seek to lead, to my constituency executives, to the national executives. And then good morning to my good friend, Godwin. He's exhausted most of the things that I would have loved to talk about, because why do we even give them the space? I'm disappointed, actually, in the doctor. I'm told she's the head of something that has to do with gender and all that, and women. And then mostly when we talk about gender, the first thing that comes to mind is children, girls. So if an advocate, let me get the name correct. I think it's
Dr. Amanda Odoi.
Yeah, Dr. Amanda, not the name or her name.
Oh,
the group she represents, and she's I think she's a dean at the
professor
Cape Coast University.
Yes.
Center for Gender Research Advocacy and Documentation. This is a noble institution that seeks to speak for gender. And I say gender having in mind children. That the impact she would want to give to the children, her own kids. She's a mother too.
Yeah.
Or just because she wants to be heard. Would she be able to look into the face of her husband and tell the husband that I would want my children to practice lesbianism, or that she would look into the husband's face and say that I would want my children to practice gayism? Will she be able to do that? That as a mother and a professor, a well-respected fellow in society, your son walks to you and tells you that, Mommy, for me, I would want to be a gay. I'd want to end reproduction. I would want to end it and marry same sex. Looks into the father's face and said that you made a mistake, okay, by bringing me, and therefore I won't do that mistake by bringing another person. Therefore, I want to end it here. So I would want to marry my fellow man. And the daughter also said, how would she feel? We shouldn't lose our sense of moralism as a country, as a people. We don't have to do it. I wasn't expecting people like that in society. People we've seen as role models. Do you have an idea, a number of girls who've looked to this woman as their role model growing up, only for today, for her to stand up for this evil act, evil law, evil practice? Look, growing up, anytime we have to deal with members of our society that we accused of practicing LGBTQ, you see the stigma that comes with it. It's been there, we're all aware. But society has made it that we will not make it providential. You understand? For people to feel comfortable with God, it is not comfortable. It's not an act that we are supposed to entertain. Me as a Christian, my spirit, my Christian values and scripture base frown on that. When you read Leviticus, it talks about an abomination in the sight of God. You understand? So we don't have to give it space. Now let's do the bit of the law. Listen, once you get it wrong procedurally, it's wrong. It should be thrown out of it, because even you that you think you know better in terms of human rights, even how to start it, the process to go through, you have failed. So instantly, it deserves to be thrown out. Now, she's also citing the Speaker of Parliament. Look, if there's somebody that this country should be proud of in the midst of all this LGBTQ plus brouhaha, he's the Speaker of Parliament. Right Honorable King Sportsman Abagbe. Yeah. He's done very well. Look, at a point, I'm within the MPP, at a point, a session of the public felt that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, and some members of Parliament from the MPP side were not pushing for us to accept this anti-gay, anti-lesbian bill. Now they have reconstructed it, proper human, whatever it is. And but around that time, the Speaker was forefront. He made sure that we accept those who were pushing for the bill, first of all, to accept it, receive it, for members of Parliament to even work on it. And saying that the Constitution Committee, parliamentary, they've also done this lawyer, the one at Asante Achem Central, lawyer Ayimedu.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done great on the bill. I get it. I think they are almost through. But for the bottlenecks that they have to deal with, but they are almost, so we have to applaud them and then say it to our, today there are a lot of reconstruction agencies that are able to help our brothers and sisters who find themselves in this act. If we want to talk about the impact of LGBTQ here, and I would want your crew members, I know they do a good job, they should go to Kolebu Plastic Surgery Center and go and find out men who are on diapers, who are low into this thing at the blind side of their knowledge, at the carnal side of their knowledge. The pain, the humility they are going through. You should bring this out for people to know, so that they will know that this thing we are talking about is a no area for anybody. Girls who've been, as it were, defiled, and today because of that they regret it, and how to reverse it is a challenge for them, so that it will scare the other people. It is not a good thing.
Okay.
It is not a good thing, and we don't have to. I don't even want us to give it space, because where I grew up, if you are seeing Kojo Besia, you start doing those things, we lynch you.
Okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that point today. We'll get to that point today. I think that it's something that we've grown out of, and if we're able to get to where Parliament is going right now, we'll be able to, as it were, protect the lives of these people, and also not make sure that they are, influencing other people badly in this act anyway. But elsewhere in the UK, the Prime Minister Sunak has actually apologized for previously military men who were gay and lesbians that were subjected into some bad treatment. He's apologized on behalf of the whole country, and he felt that it was very bad for them to have been treated that way, and they actually intend to give them monies to even compensate them. Just so we know what's on the other side of
my Ghana, brother. No, we will not apologize.
I know. I'm just saying that.
When you bring in this.
No, it's just a piece of information for us to understand that.
My brother,
as much as we feel this way about it,
your brand is big out there. It's huge.
Yeah, I am just giving information about what the UK is doing.
Talk about the UK. Rather talk about the UK. If you want to talk about UK, today is the birthday of Sir Frederick Gorgisbet. Today is birthday. This is a UK person who really contributed massively in terms of infrastructure. You know, he designed the Ghana map.
Yes.
So if there's somebody we need to celebrate today
from the UK, that should be.
It is Sir Gordon Frederick Gorgisbet.
That has no relation to the LGBT.
I don't want
but you see, what we need to put out there is that this bill is rather in to help those who are engaged in it, and those who are planning of getting themselves engaged in it. You see, at the last point of my brother's commentary, he said in their community, when they even realize that you are engaged in such acts, if you don't even take care, you'll be lynched. But the bill is in to prevent those acts,
and then reconstruct,
to save them from such unwarranted acts by society.
Don't say so. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next issue.
So you see, they should rather be happy such a bill is in
to protect
them.
Okay.
To protect them.
Okay. Now, the Honorable Jachikwesin's case has been dismissed again. Unanimously, proceedings application that the stay of proceedings application has been unanimously dismissed again. What is the NDC actually looking for in this issue?
Thank you very much for your question, and I think your question is very, very
loaded.
Good the way you have constructed it. You see, in our judicial system, when you read Article 19.1, it talks about fair trial. When you go to, I think, 19.2, it acknowledges the fact that when you are accused on criminal grounds, you are seen to be innocent until proven guilty. And that is why you need to be given a fair trial. Fair trial comes in several ways. And it is one of the reasons why society are normally not allowed to prejudice judicial cases. Because there is that perception that when you prejudice judicial cases, the tendency of commentary outside influencing the court is very high. 3, Honorable Jachikwesin has been elected for the second time to represent the people of Asin North. The order of parliament requires that if you absent yourself for more than 15 days, your seat is required to be declared vacant for by-election to proceed. So now that he has been elected as parliament MP or parliamentary member for the people of Asin North, he is required to be present on the floor of parliament anytime parliament is called upon, and make sure he represents the people of Asin North. Make sure their grievances are being heard at every point in time that he finds himself on the floor of parliament. So in the situation where the court has decided to hear the case on daily basis, presupposes that Honorable Jachikwesin will not have the opportunity to represent his people on the floor of parliament, irrespective of the fact that he has been voted for to represent them on the floor of parliament. That is basically our problem. The second issue also got to do with the fact that we think there are other instances where the power is so given to the Attorney General per Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution to be the prosecution or the prosecutor for all cases for and on behalf of the state, and will take other cases as referred to him by the president. There are other instances where the government of the day deem it fit to file what we call the nolli prosequi,
to discontinue cases that the government thinks that this case will not impact the nation in any way. So should they proceed, the state will rather spend the resources rather than gaining. These are the two reasons why the NDC is still in court. But let me take the first one. You see, the daily basis hearing of this case, as I said, will prevent Honorable Jatsu Kwesi from actually representing the people of Assinnoff. And Assinnoff MP is just going to be like a white elephant who has just been voted for, but is not being allowed to do his work. So Assinnoff indeed on paper may have an MP, but in reality, their MP may not be on the floor to make sure that their grievances are being heard. I have cited this on countless occasions on other platforms. When you look at our criminal system, we have segregated our criminal offenses in several ways, where we have first degree felony, second degree felony, we have the misdemeanor and other cases. There are people who have been cited for first degree cases that one can be convicted of death penalty, i.e. murder, treason and high treason, genocide and other things. Even on those instances, we never heard the cases being heard on daily basis.
The alacrity to give justice is also...
No, I agree. You don't worry. You see, I'll come there. Those cases were not heard on daily basis.
Is it not fast forward the process?
Don't worry.
So he's able to come back.
Don't worry, I'll come there. When I was young, I heard names such as Atayi, Dr. Becky, and Co. Their cases were not even heard on daily basis. People who were seen to be murderers, their cases were not heard on daily basis.
This case is very unfair.
That's why earlier on today, Article 19.1 talks about fair trial. Fair trial. Look at this number one case, Men's Gold. Over 5,000 people were affected. Why? Were affected by this act of this institution. His case were not heard on daily basis. People may say that these are not political cases, but just in 2020 general election, after that particular general election, Jomoro MP was sent to court on citizenship. Her case was not heard on daily basis. When she same election case was cited at the High Court, the case was not heard on daily basis. So in the wisdom of the NDC, we think the court is not being fair. I have heard you and Yao talking about the fact that there is a need for the court to fast track the case. But what you need to understand is that on criminal cases, because we have to prove beyond all reasonable doubt, and the outcome of criminal cases are there, because your fundamental human right can be taken away from you. And that is why in most cases, we don't rush in criminal cases. Because there are instances where people have been convicted after serving certain years of their sentence, and upon going on appeal, they've realized that they were not actually the people that committed those crimes. Do you get me? So in criminal cases, we need to always be careful on how we rush in those cases, because the outcome of it are dire. That is why we think the court pronouncing that they will hear the cases on daily basis, they are not being fair to Honorable Jatsu Kwesi and in general to the people of Assinnoff, because they are not allowing him to work.
Okay.
No problem. And the second case is also bordered on the fact that, you see, this whole thing is equally affecting Parliament. You are aware. Since the minority made the announcement that they will always solidarize with their colleague
by going to the court instead of going to the
court.
To the Parliament House for
it has
business.
always not allowed parliamentary proceedings to go on as usual, as you and I know. But what we have to know is that Parliament must work, because it is an arm of government that has a role to play.
Extensively, we'll look at that issue of Parliament boycotts.
Okay.
Now, Atu Forson has also stated that, or some of the members have actually stated that the leading members in Parliament have also stated that, for the minority, by the way, that some presidents, vice presidents, and some members of Parliament from the NPP are also on campaign trail.
Sure.
And so, if they come back, they'll be able to conduct business in the Parliament House, and they shouldn't focus on the NDC not coming to the House to help them or assist them in parliamentary business. We'll look at that. But
let's look at the pressing
issue for now. We'll talk about the boycott.
It's quite amazing when you listen to friends and colleagues in the NDC. One breath, they see everything wrong with the procedure adopted by the High Court in adjudicating Judge Equation's matter or case. In another breath, it is not about Judge Equation, but it's about the representation of the people of Asin North. These are two different things altogether. There has been a precedent with respect to what is happening. You understand? The alacrity of the case.
What's the precedence? If you can.
The precedent has to do with Adamu Sakande.
We've cited this, and that's the reason why I didn't ask again, because we've cited that Sakande issue here over the period. Right. It always comes up in the conversation when Judge Equation's case is mentioned.
We have always also said that they are not the same. The facts are not the same.
That's what I'm saying. That it always comes up in the conversation.
Yes.
The NDC says
the
it's not the same. The NDP says
the facts of the case had to do with allegiance. Is that not it? Adamu Sakande's case, what was it? What was the facts of the case? He's a law student. What was the facts?
I'll come in.
The facts of the case has to do with allegiance.
Yeah.
It's the same thing the current MP for Asin North is battling. You might argue that Adamu, at present, by the time of his file, or the time he became at Article 94, that somebody should be a member of Parliament. At the time, he was not a member of Parliament, and Adamu had his dual citizenship with him, even as a member of Parliament. But the fact of the case has to do with allegiance. So there's a precedent. Let's not run away from it. There's a precedent. Now, the High Court also feel that this is a case that they need to act on it, as a matter of fact, quickly, to bring finality to the brouhaha, so that this, for instance, this boycott and all that the NDC been involved. When this case started way back 2021, right after the election, i.e., and that of the Jomro issue. The case Dorcas. This case were not heard on daily basis, like what he has said when the case started. You understand? But when it became, when there was the first ruling of the Supreme Court, you understand, that has give impetus to this case that yes, he committed, that the first leg of it, that was a civil that went against him. So the real, if that be the case, then the criminal aspect, we need to fast track the proceedings so that we can get it done quick. The civil one that Dorcas went through, that she won, likewise Kwesi's own, were not held on daily basis. So we beg them, let them not do those comparisons. The alacrity of the case is also of equal importance to the bench. You understand? That is why, in any case, they filed this, and there was a judgment in June 11th. They went back to a higher authority, and there's a judgment.
The Court of Appeal. This latest one is from the Court of Appeal, actually. And
all three judges that sat on the case, they just threw it away, that it's of no merit. So I don't expect him to come here and be like defending
some injustice or unfairness is melted out.
Let's concentrate on the matters that are important to Ghanaians. You understand? Yesterday, his lead counsel was in court arguing that there are certain information that are material to the trial that has not been made public or does not be made known to their side, and therefore, because of the statement of the accused or the plaintiff at the police station, at the preliminary stage, he added in that certain information or documents.
That's the witness.
Yeah, that's the witness. Certain documents was filed with the police, and therefore they should make it public. You understand? Yesterday, the Attorney General also argued his case. No, these are materials that are not even. These are information that are not even material to the case. That's why it has not been presented as a witness. So you cannot demand for information that has not been cited or has not been presented as witness. These are the merits of the case. These are the things that we should be looking out for, not cases that are not relevant to the proceedings as to why the court. In any case, the people of Aseno knew beforehand that the person they were going to vote for was at the court battling with a criminal case. It's not like they didn't know. They knew.
As a matter of fact, the president retweeted that.
That's why I don't want to go to what whoever said. The people of Aseno knew that the man, Honorable Jachikwe Sin, was in court battling for criminal offenses. So they knew that they were going to vote for somebody who was going to court every day.
So they should allow the court processes to go on.
So it's not like they didn't know. They decided to vote for somebody that instead of going to parliament to represent them, will go to court to battle for his personal case that has to do with criminality. You understand? And they decided to vote for. So we should not use the people of Asinot as a bait to argue that now he's been prevented, he's been denied to represent them. Before they went for the by-election,
they knew and they made the choice for themselves.
Okay. All right. So we want the NDC. What happens? You are going to go.
Let's dovetail into that conversation of the boycott as well.
Yes.
I mean, since you are on the floor,
let's just imagine the whole judiciary service decided to boycott just because they feel that an injustice has been done to a member. We were here in this country when Anas decided to use his own tactics against the judiciary, where people were humiliated, were unfairly tried. At the end, some of the justices came back. You understand? Those who fight for themselves came back that the style that was adopted was not correct. Let's just imagine that the judiciary decided to boycott every court proceeding from the lower court to the higher courts. What would have happened in this country? I'm asking. And we are talking about an arm of government as important as the executive.
Yeah.
That one arm of government is doing its work, and the other arm decided, okay, because you are doing your work, we feel that it's a sabotage, and that would also sabotage our arm of government, and therefore we will decide not to join or take part in proceedings in Parliament. Do you know the double standard in all this? Do you know that they attend committee meetings where they are paid for sitting allowance and all that? The NDC members of Parliament who boycotted parliamentary proceedings. Do you know that these same people attend committee meetings where they are paid for sittings?
But they are saying that their absence shouldn't be a problem for Parliament to continue with business if the 138 members from the NPP are actually coming to the Parliament House. Because they believe that Atu actually stated that, and even Honorable Agoza stated that most of your people are on campaign trial.
Another double standard. See, let's be honest. This country, I've been saying that it's the only country we have as people of Ghana. And then in our discourse, we should be honest in our judgment. When the NDC were going for their primaries, were they not on the campaign trail? Max, they just finished, just this 13th May, that they ended their primaries, both presidential and parliamentarian, right? Please. forcing to tell the people of Ghana that he was not on the campaign trail. He was not visiting his constituents. He never followed former President John Mahama around. He never did.
Hey. I'm telling you, he never.
We are here. We will pull out the videos. Don't worry. The internet don't.
No, but you see, in their case, the argument they are making is that somebody as important as the vice president should not be using time that is meant to be.
We have had
making
former
decisions
president.
for the country.
We have had president. No, we have had president. When former President John Mahama, you understand, was a president and he was contesting his election with the 2012 election. Was he not on the campaign trail? This is not something we've not seen before. So please, we beg him. The MPP has not boycotted Parliament. They have boycotted Parliament. Can Atuforsen be able to tell us that when we pull out parliamentary attendance sheet, he has never absented himself from Parliament? They do all absent themselves from Parliament one way or the other. In some other, they travel and all those things. Sometimes there are emergencies within your constituency you need to attend to, and you would have to absent.
But those comes with permission that probably the speaker will be aware of.
Who told him that those MPs who are going to their constituencies,
the speaker allow them to?
Yes. We are talking about a boycott. You have communicated to the people of Ghana that you are boycotting proceedings in solidarity of who? Jati Kwesi. Is that not the case? Has the MPP boycotted Parliament? So they shouldn't justify the two. You understand? But the double standard in is what I want to bring for us to talk about. You are the fourth estate of our constitution, the media. The media. Right. You said that you have boycotted Parliament in solidarity to Jati Kwesi. However, you same person boycotting Parliament go for parliamentary committee meetings and you are paid allowances. Why?
But can't the business of Parliament go on without them? You have 138 members. They have 137.
Really? Is that what you are saying? The business of Parliament can go on without the minority?
That's the argument, because you have the numbers to make decisions if you so wish.
Do you know that we need to form a quorum in Parliament? And you do know that we need some numbers to form a quorum in Parliament. And we need them. In any case, let me tell you, they are in Parliament not on their own accord. They are in Parliament to represent a certain.
That's their responsibility given to them by their constituency. So yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So you cannot.
Yes.
You understand? Disrespect your constituents who've given you the mandate to represent them. It's a whole lot of disrespect to them. I listened to what's his name? Ningo Pram MP, Sam George, and he was like, they don't even care if they should lose their seats. That's a whole lot of disrespect, but to the people of Ningo Pram, that we have voted you to represent us, and are in solidarity of a member of Parliament who know for sure that he was going to get himself engaged in this. You are telling the people of Ningo Pram you don't even care if they should vote you out. We would want to beg, we want to plead with them that look, in as much as we want to do as and where the gallery politics and show that we are doing this. Let me ask you, do you know that yesterday?
Okay, so finish up so that you can.
Yes, yesterday at the High Court, we could not count 5 members of Parliament from the minority. You claim, the claim is that you are doing this in solidarity of Jati Kwesi. Yesterday, Jati Kwesi was in court. We could not count 5 members of Parliament from the minority.
Gordon, what happened? How did we get here?
You see, before I move straight to this particular parliamentary issues, let me take just 2 minutes to do this. You know, my second point I was trying to put across is that I told you that the AG who acts for and on behalf of the state, Attorney General, has the powers at a point in time to say, as for this case, we don't want to continue with it. And there have been several instances where the previous AG and the AG today has done that. You remember the Delta forces that went to pull the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator from his office. They vandalized the court. At the end,
the AG told us that the government does not have interest to continue that case. They filed what we call a nolli prosequi. 2, on the issue of Aisha 1, who has destroyed our water bodies, destroyed our forests. Today, children are being given birth to without one hand, without eyes, just because of this act of Aisha 1. But for the interest of cash by this government, because their pension for money is more important to them than the health of these people, we heard the senior minister tell the people of Ghana that the country will not have any benefit should we proceed to prosecute Aisha 1, because the country was expecting some monies from China. So if with these 2 examples, the government could file nolli prosequi on these flimsy reasons, why can't they file the same nolli prosequi when the chiefs and people of Asinov are pleading? They are not forcing, they are pleading to the government that this is the person that we want him to represent us, we know what he can do for us. You've filed nolli prosequi to discontinue cases that even the state even think that they are detrimental to this country, even that you did. How much more this one that the chiefs and people are pleading to you? It tells you how disrespectful the government and the president are for the people of Asinov. But we leave that to the people of Asinov. You see, what I want my brother to understand is that, you see, criminal...
That's the boycott, right?
Yes, I'm on the boycott. You see, what the minority are doing has nothing to do with the fact that it is the reason why Parliament is not proceeding to do their business. What we need to bear in mind is that in the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution, they anticipated things of this nature. And that is why they brought the issue of quorum into our Constitution. And even when Parliament was drafting their standing orders, I think Order 48, they lifted the same Article 102 of the Constitution, which talks about quorum, onto the order of Parliament, to say that before proceedings of Parliament commences, we must have at least 1/3 of parliamentarians present. So 1/3 is talking about, I think, 92. 92.
So I'm coming.
So 92.6, but you can't say 6 of a human being.
Yes, so and so far, I am yet to see since 1992 a parliament that either minority or majority have had less than the 92. So at every point in time, when we have full one side on the floor of Parliament, parliamentary proceedings can still go on. Can still go on.
Noted.
As of yesterday, we have some of the minority MPs on the floor of Parliament, yes or no? And we had some of majority members on the floor of Parliament. Let's ask ourselves, if indeed the majority are bent in doing their work to make sure that government business is being done on the floor of Parliament, they should have whipped all their 138 MPs in line for them to be there. I have seen most of their MPs, and specifically in this particular instance, the English amount from Botiano amount from MP, Sylvester Mensah, following Alan Cash. I think the last time I saw them, they were in Kumasi. And a lot of them are following the presidential candidate. We are not saying that following the presidential candidate are evil. And what we are saying is that you can't, at a point in time, leave your people not to be present on the floor of Parliament and come to accuse the minority for not being present on the floor of Parliament, to say that they are the reason why government business is not going on. Why? Who told you that boycott of Parliament is against our laws? If they are against our laws, why wouldn't they sue the minority?
Nobody
it is part of our parliamentary proceedings. Let me tell you, in 2012, during the swearing in of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the MPP boycotted the swearing in for their own reason. 2020, the swearing in of President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, the NDC boycotted for our own reason. Let me tell you, on the day of the swearing in of Honorable Jachuk Kwesi, the double standard of the NPP needs to be exposed. After the election from Asinov, the president congratulated Honorable Jachuk Kwesi. The party as an NPP congratulated him. But on the day of swearing in, they boycotted the swearing in.
There was no boycott.
Please.
No,
were they present?
Please.
Were they present?
They were. Members of Parliament.
They were not present.
I don't want you to go there. Sometimes I keep saying that those of us present here will elevate the platform, and therefore information we put out there should be accurate.
What was the real case? If it wasn't,
no, we're not present.
He has acknowledged the fact that the sitting president congratulated him. The party.
Yes.
As soon as you bring in the party, it's just that the party is not against. You understand?
So what happened on that day?
Yes,
members of parliament.
No, they were not there.
Was that what happened?
No. See, you are a journalist. It's not about what I say. It's not about what we cannot.
No, we're authenticated.
No, were they present?
They were.
They were not present.
It's not. They never had the full.
You see,
they did not have the full.
But members of MPP. No, there were members of MPP, members of parliament present.
I'm coming.
What number? No, wait.
You see, let me tell you one thing. You see, he cannot decide to do what we call choose and pick. Yesterday, some members of the minority were on the floor of parliament. Yes or no?
Yeah.
But they still insisted that the minority
it's about the number.
It's about numbers. And let me tell you, on that particular day,
about the representation.
It was just about the leadership of the majority that were present. Yesterday, some of our members were present. I'm saying that almost all of them
boycotted it. I am only bringing facts to bear that
we were present, but not in full numbers.
Exactly.
The representation was not full numbers.
So okay. If that is the case, and you are not doing choose and pick, I was expecting you to say that there are instances where few number of the minority has been present on the floor.
But you are
saying that we are boycotted.
I am not the one saying. No, I'm coming. I am not the one saying. You sat here and said your leader, who is in the person of Forsen.
Let's wrap up and move to.
No,
I understand.
Let me conclude. You see, no.
When we conclude from here, let's move on to Baumier's campaign.
And you see, let us not create the impression that the minority has boycotted parliament as a whole. And that has always been the argument. And now I need to expose them in this particular case. Let me tell you.
I don't know what members of parliament are saying.
Please wait.
My brother.
Atu actually mentioned that.
It's your leader.
Boycott.
It's your leader that puts out that information.
So we have boycotted parliament. Yes. And any time that you question is before the court, we will go with him.
But yesterday you were not there.
It deals with issues of time. So there are instances where if the two questions are supposed to go, let's say 7 o'clock, and the case is heard from 7 to 9. After 9, they return to parliament. They only boycott within the time where the issue is being heard on the floor of parliament. Okay. So that is why I'm coming. That is why when they return from court, they make sure they are on the floor of parliament. 1. 2, times where the two question is not in court, or they've gone to court and they have returned. If they are committee meetings,
they will go.
They go.
That's where you are saying that you are collecting the money for the committee meetings.
Where the money is? Where the money is?
They need to be exposed on this because I've said that they only absent themselves from court within the hours which the issue,
not the full session.
Not the full session.
Okay.
In any point in time where the two questions case will be heard 24 hours.
That is when
they will be there 24 hours. But if it will be heard 1 hour, just after 1 hour, they have always returned to parliament. And that is what they need to have that in mind.
So the vice president has been on his campaign trail. He was in Care University to visit the students over there and the Oforikum constituency. It was a rousing welcome. Let's take a look at this video. When we come back, we'll delve into that conversation.
The love is deep. This is a Yes, the love here is deep.
right, so that's the vice president in KNUST and all the students, almost all of them. We're all there to welcome him. You should be happy about this, yeah.
That
such a welcome.
Yes. Oh, it's not only KNUST. I think he's been able to attract numbers in Asante region on his campaign for once. We've seen former MPs during President Kufuor era, and then former appointees during President Kufuor era, people we've not seen for a long time. He's able to pull all of them out to join his campaign. So the vice president is doing well in Asante region. I think he brings his tour. He started July 6th, and then today is 20th. So about massive 2 weeks campaign in the Asante region. He's done well. He's been able to pull. I look at it from this angle. The remobilization of our grassroots, and then the energy and the vibration he brings to the constituents. It's been good. There's one thing he's talking about, that there shouldn't be any antagonism in our discourse. We should rather front on decorous, so that at the end of the contest, the party will be able to unite together and then face the NDC for 2024. He's been focusing on his message. And his message has to do with how we'll be able to digitize our economy and the employment that the digitization will bring to the people. And I think those are the things we should be looking out and be talking about it, because I think those are the salient points of the things he's pushing out there. Because I believe that today the number of people that sit home and do business on the internet alone, we cannot quantify. They are in excess of millions. You understand? But for this digitization, it was not possible in the past. But today, it is possible. And that is his message, that this country needs to move away from the traditional into a new space of intercom, where we use the internet to do a lot of things. You understand? And that is his campaign message. He's talking about how to be able to re-energize and give appointment to the party at the constituency level. It's his message. And I think that at the end of the day, the delegate would assess it. The delegate would have a look at whatever all this thing. We've also had instances where yesterday I was watching one constituency and a polling station secretary who were like, he went to listen to him and he was the kind of information that was put out there was not so substantial to change his mind and all that. We bring
so there are diverse opinion about what is putting out there.
But one thing is for sure, the numbers you talked about, he's been able to pull not only the student. I watched him when he went to Ejura, and I think even the Ejura crowd was massive comparable to KNUST. I watched him when he went to Afijasatre, former President Kufuor's constituency. What's the name? Amponwa, not Achumamponwa North. The crowd he pulled out there from that constituency was so massive enough. So he's been doing well. The same thing we've seen Alan Kojoche Martin also at the OT voter in OT, and we've seen pictures, we've seen videos, we've seen the crowd is also pulling out there. Yesterday he was at Buem, the crowd he pulled out there and all that. All of them, like Kennedy Japan, we just saw him at
it's also in the Bono
region and the crowd. So for the delegates, it is their time.
Everyone seems to be a competition to the other person.
Yes, they will meet everybody. They will come out in their numbers. Not only the delegate, the party faithfuls. They will come out at every point in time to welcome their heroes, to welcome their leaders, and listen to them. Some of them, they even miss them. You understand? Because of their works, they are unable to tour. So in instances like this, give them the opportunity to familiarize themselves with them, to catch up with some of their old friends and all that. So it's been going well. We as a party, what we want to guard against is whereby individuals will decide to take a stance which will be detrimental to our going forward into 2026, 2024. That one, the party frowns against it. Today, the National Council will be meeting, and this, I think this will be part of the discussion, because this MPP, we allow competition, but we are not allowing competition to break
the unity that you already have.
No. President Akufo-Addo has done so well by bringing everybody on board. You understand? So, in as much as you want to lead a party, you should rather use this opportunity to preach unity.
Okay, instead of division.
You can dissent on opinion. You can believe that this particular stance of this particular candidate you disagree, but you don't antagonize those people and use vulgar languages against them. That one, as a party, we frown on. We don't want to hear it, because these are matured individuals who have distinguished themselves in their private individuals and even their public life.
Okay.
So we want to see that come out of them, so that will bring hope to the people of MPP. And I think the vice president is not doing bad on that.
All right. Godwin, you have 3 minutes for me, please. Our time is up.
I may not even exhaust the 3 minutes. But you see, let us not create the impression that until the MPP, this particular MPP came to power, people were not doing online marketing. People couldn't sit in their homes to order for things. Until they came, I could still sit in my house and order for Uber and still go anywhere I want to go. As society grows, things improves. But they should not continue to create the impression that it is the vice president's initiative. That is why people are doing online business today. It existed before
digitalization came.
The president even dreamt of picking him as a running mate. So that thing needs to be cleared in their minds, and the people of Ghana must know that under John Mahama, under late Mills, people were still doing business online, were still picking online cars, and other things were being done online. The crowd the vice president had when he visited KNUST, for me, I'm not surprised. Are you surprised?
No.
I am not. Because I've once told you that he's been the vice president almost 8 years now. So people may not necessarily be there because he's a candidate. People may be there also because he doubles as the vice president of the Republic of Ghana. So obviously you don't expect such a low crowd than what he had. So for me, I'm not surprising. The last time too, I told you that all research indicates that when you go within the MPP, he is popular than all the political parties. So he is doing an internal election. So if all research indicates that he is popular than all the political parties, what do you expect? You expect the same people who were being interviewed doing the various research to still gather and welcome him. But I've told you that the bottom line of every government is to win power. It's not about just being popular in your party. And all research has indicated that Alan outside his party is more popular than Baumia. I always throw this caution to them and to their delegates. It's not about just being an organ in your house. Being an organ in your house doesn't carry you anywhere. And that is what Dr. Mahmoud Baumia is doing. We brought him. You see, the reason why he was picked, don't worry, the reason why he was picked as the running mate is not for IT purposes. It's for economic purposes, i.e. the exchange rate, inflation, employment.
You are Adam
Those
Smith.
are the things that he was picked.
Adam Smith
That is the please.
Listen.
Those are the main reasons why
you cannot talk about economics and then you tell me that telecommunication is not economics.
Before
why are you
they
doing
won
Smith
power,
economics?
he was organizing lectures.
So
there was
now
no
that he's the vice president,
there was no
organizing lectures.
Please. Let me finish.
When
there
he was
no
organizing
lectures on the economy.
Please, on the economy.
And let me tell you,
there was
no. Now the lectures should be done by the NDC.
Please. Let me conclude.
He's not the vice president.
There was no instant. If you want me to believe that digitization is part of the economy,
yes.
There was no instance.
It's not me that I want you to believe.
Please, I'm coming. There was no instance that he organized his so-called economic lectures, that he spoke about digitization. It had always been either the exchange rate, inflation, unemployment rate. And today, the main reason why the MPP picked him as a running mate, he has failed abysmally.
Okay, so
and that is why all research indicates that it doesn't matter whoever they are. John Mahama will still win the next election.
You are telling me that you're in the economy. The service industry is
remember, we had also from the NPP, Nana. Yeah, if you're still joining us this morning, gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. I'll see you guys next week. No, let's plan that after the show. I'll come. I'll be more than glad to be there. All right. What's trending is up next. Rosalie finally has got that conversation. Please do stay with us here on the show.